What's good, you guys? It's your boy KT, and I'm here today with something different and something unique. So, I'm starting a new series called Who is KTGODUMB? Who is the man behind the brand? Who is the man behind Wednesday Wisdom? Who is the man behind this upcoming album that's coming out? What's the reasoning for that? And with this series, I'm really giving my viewers a chance to understand who I am, not just KT, but who Khalid is. My real name is Khalid. KT is just my initials, my first and last name. My first name is Khalid. But, who is Khalid versus who is KT? Y'all will definitely learn more about who KT is, but this is really to learn more about Khalid and what Khalid's about. So, this is episode 1 of Who is KTGODUMB? And this episode, I'm keeping it simple. We just starting with the basics. Just who is Khalid? What is Khalid about? My name is Khalid. How do I say this? I am a college graduate. I graduated from Baldwin-Wallace University in 2024. I majored in sports management, So going into college, I was thinking I was I wanted to run a rec center, maybe, I don't even know what to call it. But I wanted to run events, I wanted to be able to hold events and be able to be in charge of that at a rec center. That's kind of what I was going in for, outside of playing football. Because I was playing football too at the time when I first got into college. I stopped playing football around COVID time because I was passionate about football, but around that time, I just started I had started thinking to myself, about what I wanted to do in life. And, whether it's whether football served the purpose it used to. I'll tell y'all, I miss it, but it was time for me to hang up the cleats at that time. I wasn't the same player. So I stuck to that, focused on school. I finished out school. So that's the recent history. Outside of that, I've studied at Ohio Media School. I'm a certified producer. I got the plaque to even say it. So I'm a certified producer too. Or I've been trained in producing. And right now, currently, I'm a substitute paraprofessional. I'm working in education. That's been something I've been doing for the past 6 months. I just got into education. Before this, I was working customer service. But I was working customer service at the Guardians. I was working with the Cleveland Browns. I was working with the Cavs. I was in sport, but I didn't really want to do customer service. It was cool at first because I liked helping people. I liked seeing how happy people got when I would solve their problems, no matter how big or small they were. But over time, it's just customer service is draining, dealing with people all day, especially ignorant people or people who really don't want to be helped. That gets draining to deal with. And honestly, I didn't want to put up with that anymore. So I had to pivot. I had to change careers, and that's what led me into education. And I plan on getting my master's for that too. Education is important to me. I get it. We live in a time where, you don't need a degree, and a degree maybe not be as resourceful as it used to be 20 years ago, but that's just how I came up. I'd rather have that stability. That's just me. Not that I won't bet on myself, but I'd rather have stability in my life. And I feel having a degree, it gives me the best chance of bringing stability in my life. So that's why I chase after it. And mainly, I want to be a better teacher. That's why I'm going back to school. So that's my recent history, I would say. Yeah. Um, let's see. I went to high school, so it was in a suburb. So I went to Twinsburg High School. I mean, that was ages ago. I played football, I ran track. Like, I was an athlete back in the day. Like, honestly, I thought I was going to be the next Denzel Ward at one point. I did. I truly did. And yeah, I'm not Denzel Ward. It's levels to this. It's levels to shit. But I was passionate, and honestly, I really think sports, just playing sports all my life, being active all my life is what, kind of helped mold my ambition, my mentality, my grind mentality. I feel like, I'm the type of person, I'm always like, I'll root for somebody, I'll encourage somebody, I'll try to talk, like, motivate somebody, and tell them that, like, your goals are achievable. If you put in the work, if you keep your head down, if you stay dedicated to your craft, then you can make it. A lot of that came from sports, playing football, running track, wrestling, all types of sports I played. And, I'm very grateful that I was able to have those experiences I did with sports because, sports to me, it really teaches you a lot about life. It's a game, yeah, but it really teaches you about life and how to navigate life, how to work with a team, how to pivot, because you don't always win in sports. And then sometimes, if you're losing, how do you adjust? How do you adjust when you're in a down position? That's things sports teaches you. It really can teach you a lot about life. And that's why, I was really like, I felt connected to it. I mean, that's why I wanted to study it in college, because I felt so connected to sports at the time. So I'm definitely grateful for my time with sports. Don't mind me, y'all. I'm just rolling up a leaf. But I was definitely like an athlete in school. Like, I didn't fully focus on music until I got to college. And granted, I was always listening to music. I always loved music, even since I was a kid. But the thing with me is, I would listen to music for the production. If I felt like the production was something crazy or something fire, it was in my playlist. If the production was so-so, I probably was skipping it. I wasn't listening for lyrics. I didn't hear, like, unless it was something really popping and trending, like, I was not listening to a word that was being said. That I didn't pick up on that until college. But when it comes to beats, like, I've always, and really in high school, like I say, a lot of the music I make now, or a lot of what I'm inspired by now, is what, I was hearing in high school or what I was hearing in college. Because I started making music in college, but really, I started to get into music more heavily during high school. Because around that time, that's when like the sound, like, I don't want to call it the SoundCloud era, because by that time, I mean, a lot of the people that I'm going to refer to from that era, like, they were mainstream. They weren't on SoundCloud anymore. But I would say, like, I came up in high school. I was in high school from 2014 to 2018. So 2014 to 2018, that stretch. I'm not going to lie. I think that was probably like that was a musical peak. It was a musical peak, in my opinion. It was a lot of different things coming out. It was a lot of unique artists coming out. You got, a 2020 or 2016 double XL freshman class. Like, I really go back to them people. All of them. Every single person on that class is popping to this day. Lil Uzi Vert, popping, well-known name. Kodak Black, well-known name. 21 Savage. Who else is on there? I can't even think. It was more people. Lil Yachty, he's still going off. Denzel Curry. Denzel Curry got way more motion than I would have thought he would have had. I wasn't listening to Denzel Curry in 2016, but now I'm like, I see the vision. Hell, even guys like Anderson .Paak, like, he's still doing shit today, and he collabing with Bruno Mars. So it's like I feel like there was a talented group of people coming up that I really feel that's lacking, and maybe people will tell me, you just don't listen to the right music. Maybe. But at the same time, it's just like my philosophy, like, I just feel like everything is underground. And I mean, it's okay for things to be underground, but I say not everything needs to be underground. Certain things need to be mainstream, in order for shit to thrive or in order for things to grow. But I don't know. That's just my thinking. I mean, they say underground was already inherently, or not underground, but hip hop was inherently underground already. It was like born on underground, and it just became, pop and mainstream over the years. I mean, I don't know. There's so many different genres of music. I just think somebody could step up nowadays. Maybe I'll step up. Maybe me. You never know. So I want to go back to sports real quick because I probably should talk about like what I did. So in high school, so I played football all the way up until college. Not high school. Football and track and field were my main two sports. Those were the sports that, I got a varsity letter in. So I lettered all 4 years in track and I lettered 2 years in football. Do what you will with that. So in football, I played cornerback. I played cornerback and safety. They wanted me to play wide receiver because I was pretty fast. Like, I was among the fastest in my school. I couldn't catch, and I could not for the love of me learn the offensive playbook. See, the defensive playbook was easy as hell. It was just like, we would just look at a symbol. It would just be like some shit like that. And I would know, okay, it's cover 3. That's simple. It's that simple. On the offense, they would have shit like, I don't know, like 22Y spider X. And I'm like, bruh, that's too much. That was too much for me. I said, I can't remember all them plays, and I can't remember all that shit, bruh. On the defensive side of the ball, it would just be something simple like, huh. And then you would know. But on the offensive side, it's just all types of, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just dumb. Maybe my IQ, maybe my sports IQ was just not the greatest. But also, I just could not catch. Like, I wasn't, like, my hands was terrible. Like, it would be times I would drop wide open shit. It would be bad, like really bad. So I just figured, I'm like, man, I like hitting people. I like hitting people anyway, so fuck it. I will say though, if you play offense, like, I think you a tougher dude. You gotta be a tough motherfucker to know you gonna get hit and just do the shit anyways. Respect to offensive players for sure. Now for track, so I was a track star at my school. Well, like, somewhat. I lettered all 4 years, so like I was in the mix from track since high school. I would really say since 8th grade, because it's like, even then, like, people knew I had speed. So the one thing with track though, it's like I never made it to states. Every single year, I would always come up short of making it to states. So the events I ran the 100 at times, but I didn't always run the 100. But like, they would throw me in there sometimes. I did all right. I could win you some races. I could win you a race at a regular meet, and I could place at an invitational. I wasn't slow. I ran the 200. I really enjoyed the 200. I enjoyed that. I ran the 4x1 and the 4x2. Me and my relay team, we were gods. Like, it was times, bro, we would go to invitationals and niggas would see us and they'd be like, oh, damn, it's them Twinsburg niggas, bro. We about to get our asses dusted. And that's exactly what the fuck we did. Dust niggas. Like, my school was fast. We had some burners on our team for real. We really did. But like I said, we would make it to conference, win conference. We would make it to divisional. We would win divisional. But every time, what's after divisional? Actually, I lied. No. It's district, conference, then divisional. We would win the district because we were the fastest in our district. We would win the conference because we were damn near the fastest in our conference. And then we would get to divisionals and we would make it to the finals. But it's like every time, like we were like one of the last, like we were the last teams out. Like usually they only qualify the fastest 8 times, you know? So whoever gets first through 8th, they go in the states. Bro, it felt like every year we were getting, like we were just missing it. Like we were just missing it. Or like we would just lose. And it got frustrating. Like it got frustrating because I wanted to make it to state so bad, you know? Just like with football. Like I ain't gonna lie. We wasn't that good at football. I'd never played a playoff game in football before. Or I never played playoffs, you know. I didn't play on a winning team until I got to college. But we, like, just us wanting to make playoffs, like, it gets frustrating. It gets frustrating as an athlete, you know, especially in team sports. It's frustrating when you're putting in so much work, you know, you have so much high hopes and energy and enthusiasm going into the season, and then it just ends with disappointment and this and that. And it's so many different factors, you know, especially in a team sport. You know, you can't never really rely on one person. You can't. But one person, you know, if one person is not doing the assignment, it does fuck up the whole system, you know. Then again, football and track are 2 different things. I would just say, like, I wish I made it to states. Like that's something I wish I could have did with track. With football, I'll be honest, I wish I did. I wish I actually took the time to learn offense. I think I would have been a nice ass receiver, you know. I don't know if I would have been like a number 1. I probably wouldn't have been a number 1. I could have been a solid 2 or 3 option. You know, I could probably get you a bomb. Like I could have beaten somebody deep. Like I could have burned some of these niggas. I would be burning my teammates in practice. I just can't catch. You know? I didn't have the best hand-eye coordination, but so back to music. It really wasn't until college that I really started thinking to myself, like, considering doing music and actually, like, you know, going after music, you know, just taking a shot at it. Because really, I say, like, I started smoking weed more in college, and that definitely changed my perspective some on the music I listened to. Because it's like I started to feel shit. I started to feel that shit, bro. Like, I don't know, like, for any stoners out here, like, that feeling when you would first get high is one of the greatest feelings ever. Like, and the way music felt then, like, it was so amazing. Like, it was a different feeling. It was a different feeling, and that's really that feeling. And then also the niggas I would smoke with, they used to freestyle all the time. Like, they would just freestyle, and it's just like, granted, it's not like I haven't heard niggas freestyle. Like, niggas would be, well, granted, niggas would be on the rush or on the bus rap battling, and like that was cool. Like I didn't set a couple bars on the bus myself, but it's like I ain't never think of myself as somebody with bars. But hearing them rap, it felt like they were rapping full songs, like full songs. And it's just like my mind, my 18, 19-year-old mind, I couldn't comprehend that at the time. That was the greatest shit I seen at the time, bro. And it's just like, it actually inspired me to want to start freestyling. It's like, look, my confidence back then was not where it is today. You know, I will say it's been times where my self-esteem has been very low for myself, and I just think very down of myself, you know. Like, I just don't think, you know, I'm as great as I am, or I don't think I have as much as an impact as I do. And, you know, that's something I'm still overcoming in a way, but I've come a long way from thinking that I had no significant meaning in this world versus now, you know, I feel like I add value into this world. I feel like this world needs people like me, you know, who will be out here spreading positivity, wanting to motivate and inspire other people, you know. Like, I really want to do good things for this world, and I had to realize, you know, I had to see the light within myself, and then I had to believe in that light. You know, I had to believe in myself, Because that's something like I really, I would doubt myself a lot, and I mean, shoot, like, just with what I was going through at football, like I was really trying to bust my ass, trying to like, become a better player, get on the playing field. And it's like, sometimes like that type of stuff, it can take a toll on you when you putting in all this work and then it just feels like it's for naught. It feels like it's for nothing, or that I'm just gonna get overlooked anyways. It's a frustrating feeling for sure. It can be, but it didn't stop me, that kind of is like, how do I say it? I've always looked at myself as a fighter, I don't ever want to be that type of person who, you know, I don't want to be known as a quitter. I don't want people to look at me and think, he's a quitter. He disappears when the moment matters the most. Like, I didn't want to be that type of person. That's why I kept on putting in work. I kept on having faith that one day all this hard work will pay off. And like I said, that still carries with me today. That's why I have patience with what I do, So if it takes me another 10 years to really get where I want to get, that's okay. That's okay with me, as long as I get there. Where else? I mean, I do used to doubt myself, but it's just like, it's weird, like, how I doubt myself, but it's just like, I've always been doing shit. Like, I've been doing sports. I mean, even in high school, like, I was a big sneakerhead back in high school, and I used to run a sneaker page on Instagram. It was called Ohio Sneakerheads, for any of you OGs who know about it, and all I would do was I would post people's shoes. And this was when DMs were just introduced into Instagram. I would have people DM me their shoes, let me know, like, do you want to sell it? Are you looking for a trade? What size? What condition? What are you looking for? And that's what I was doing every day for 2 years, posting people's shoes for free, by the way. I wasn't getting compensated for that. I was doing that out of the love of the game. And honestly, I did it because I got sick of other sneaker pages, bro. They would never want to post my shit. I'm like, bro, I want to get my shit sold too. And niggas would only post they would only post their friends' shoes and people who they knew or people that would pay them. And I'm like, dog, that shit's lame. That's just slow. And I just figured, I'm like, man, fuck it, bro. I'm gonna do this shit myself. Cause a lot of these people, like, it was people within the Akron, Cleveland, Columbus area. That's really where I operated at, like the northeastern Ohio area. But the page blew up. Like, we blew up to the point, like, I was kind of famous. I was kind of famous back in the day. Folks knew me from my sneaker page and just that, trying to help people sell their shoes. Like, I remember I went to a sneaker con and some random Asian kid just walked up to me and was like, yo, bro, what's up? Dap me up. And it's just like, bro, how do you know me? I ain't never post my face on that page. How do you niggas know it's me? So it's just like, fame is a crazy thing, but and people at my school knew me for that too. They knew me for sports and then they knew me for that. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know why I feel so unconfident in myself at times. Cause it's like, I be telling myself now, like, I'm that nigga. Like, I just be telling myself constantly, like, I'm that nigga. I remind myself of who I am, what I've done, what I'm doing. And, that it motivates me. It pushes me forward. It keeps me on track, because I have days where I doubt myself still. But, I sit back, and I think to myself, I'm like, it's so much that I'm doing and it's so much more that I'm trying to do. And there's already, I've already made a positive impact in some people's lives now. And what I'm doing is leaving a positive impact. So I shouldn't doubt myself, because at the end of the day, I know where I'm going. I have to trust the ride. I got to trust the road that I decide to go down. And that's why you see me posting some, mentality stuff, some motivational, inspirational. It's that inner athlete in me. It's the inner athlete. I look at music like sports. You got to put in your hours in the studio, in the gym. You got to put up your shots. You got to see what works, what doesn't. And you just, you always got to evaluate yourself and, where your skill sets lie. Somebody said it, like, this rap music, it literally is like a sport. And I look at it like a sport, because it is a sport in a way, in its own unique way. It is a game. So with this album, me creating this album, KTGODUMB, it's really my first project, my first album. You know, I've dropped EPs, I've dropped singles, but I haven't really dropped a big piece of work yet. And that's what I wanted to do with this album. I wanted this to really represent, you know, this album, you know, it's self-titled, it's named after me. It represents, you know, me, my brand, just my journey, you know, my struggles, my desires, just what I go through chasing my goals, chasing my dreams, you know. That's what this tape is representative of. You know, it represents, you know, my sonic world. It represents my universe in a way. And I couldn't just, you know, this was something I've been, you know, it's been on my mind for years. You know, I always wanted to make my own tape, you know, ever since I first started making music. Like, I told myself, you know, before I graduate college, I'm going to drop a beat tape. That's what I did. When I graduated, I dropped an EP. I dropped that beat tape before I graduated. But I said I wanted to drop a project, and I did. Now, granted, that was my first tape. My first tape, Graduation, that was an EP. But that was around the time when I really started becoming an artist. I've been making music since 2019. So it's been, what, 7 years? 7, almost 8 years? I've been making music. It's been 10 years almost since I've been making music. And I wasn't always rapping. Look, I'm gonna be honest. I had to grow into this rapping shit. I had to build that shit up brick by brick, bro. I couldn't freestyle like them niggas at first. You know, I didn't have the same skill set as them. I wasn't coming up with words as quickly, you know. Even to this day, it's like, I'm not going to act like I'm the best. I'm just this crazy, sick freestyler. I can freestyle, but I know my limits. I'm a writer, you know. I prefer to write out my music versus just saying whatever's in my mind. You know, that's a longer process for me. But like I said, I was producing for years. You know, I didn't really want to be the artist at first. I just wanted to be the producer because, you know, like I said, I knew where my skill sets lied. But I've always been a fan of production. I just remember, you know, I got into production because, you know, I just asked my homies one day. I'm like, look, like, how do niggas even make beats? Like, where do people come up with this stuff? Like, do they just play instruments? Like, I didn't know what a synth, I didn't know what an 808, I didn't know what none of that was. I knew what a guitar, a piano, and an electric keyboard was. You know, I didn't know what a synth was. I didn't know about chord progressions and this and that. Like, and homie told me, oh, GarageBand is free. And I'm like, free? And I got GarageBand for free. I started playing around, you know, with some loops on there. I started playing around with that. I would say for 6 months, I was playing around with it, and then I did some research, and I found out about FL Studio, and, you know, FL Studio had more to offer than GarageBand. Granted, it wasn't free, but I'm like, shit, like, if this is something I want to do, I got to invest into myself. So I spent that money. I got FL Studio, and honestly, like, I just started turning up. Like, I was times, like, at that time, like, I was making beats damn near every day. Like, I was making beats all the time. You know, sending it out to people, trying to find people to hop on it. And, you know, it's just like, I got rejected a lot at first, you know. And that kind of, you know, it had me feeling some type of way about my music because, you know, it had me wondering, like, is my shit ass? You know, what's up with this? And it's just like, I really would question myself a lot with this music shit. But then, you know, I also would sit back and I would tell myself, it's like, well, do you enjoy what you make? Do you love what you make? And honestly, I love everything I make. Everything I make, I treat my creations like my children. They are my children. I created it. So it's just like, it's some projects, like even some projects from way back when I first started that I'm attached to. And it's just like, I want to see something get made from it. Like, I can tell you, a lot of the beats that, you know, I rap on, even some of these beats that's going to be on my new album, like, this isn't stuff I came up with in the past few months. Like, some of this stuff I've been sitting on for years, and I just finally found the tune. I finally found the words, you know, or I finally just heard it, and I'm like, you know what? Let me write something to it. And, that's what happened. Now, I would say as I was producing, I slowly started to write more, and I slowly started to freestyle. I started, figure out how to freestyle, how to find a flow, and it's like, I've gotten better. Like, I think when it comes to me being a rapper, one of my strengths is, I'm good at finding pockets. I'm good at finding flows, I'm good at understanding how the words should be put together in a song, I think that's one of my strengths, when it comes to writing. And that's really what I do pay attention to. Like, how do you flow? Like, how do you put your words together? Like, that's what impresses me when it comes to writing. But I would say, like, I started taking rap more serious because I had it was a mentor of mine at the time. He would go by Titanic, my nigga Ty. Shout out to my boy Ty if he sees this. He really started. He was my first customer as an engineer. He hit me up asking me to record him. And at the time, I was just making beats. I didn't record anybody. But, I looked at it, I'm like, it's an opportunity for me to grow. So I'm like, shit, fuck it. I got the recording equipment, and I started recording with him. And honestly, a lot of the songs and just a lot of those moments we had in the studio, like, it stuck with me because I really look at Ty. I look at him as somebody who really, like, he really encouraged me and pushed me to keep going and keep on doing what I do. It's like he saw what I was before I could really see it. And, for that, I really, somebody like him, and even my homeboy LJ, like, those two, LJ, he goes by Cloud now. Cloud and Titanic, I give them all the credit in the world. Those two are like big reasons why I'm still pursuing music, why I still make music, why I make beats, because they weren't some bullshit rappers. It's a lot of bullshit rappers, and I'm not saying all rappers be on bullshit. Some have a genuine story, some are just after a vibe, some just want to be memes. They wasn't on bullshit. Like, to me, they was spitting some real shit. They was spitting real game, not even in the mic, but even just in real life, in the conversations like I would have with them about, life, music, just my journey. They've been two people that were in my corner and really they were really instrumental for, me becoming who I am today as KTGODUMB. So shout out to Titanic, shout out to Cloud. Y'all my niggas, for real. So here I am now. It's June, and I have an album coming out in a month. And I'm trying to make this a movie, y'all. I've been working on this album for this whole year, for 6 months. And I don't want this to be a collection of songs. I don't want it to just be a compilation of me just talking over beats. I wanted to tell a story with my album. I want people to hear my album and, they leave with a part of me. Because a part of me is this album. This album is me. And I just hope, people hear it, they appreciate it, and they can see the creative vision I'm going for. That's all I could ask for, So this has been episode 1 of Who is KTGODUMB. And next time, I'm probably going to drop another episode next week. I don't know when I'm going to drop this. I'm going to probably drop this soon. But whenever I drop this, the next episode will probably drop a week later. So be on the lookout. I'm going to keep dropping these once a week, every week until July 24th. That is when my album is dropping. So be on the lookout every week. It's going to be just like Wednesday Wisdom. Except, I'm just giving you a little bit more insight about my life, my journey, where I'm at musically, mentally, career-wise. Like, you guys get to learn the behind the scenes of Khalid. Not just KT, but Khalid. So, it's your boy KT. This is episode 1. I will see y'all next time.